Hello and welcome to Ham Nation, episode 559 for November 11th, 2023. 2008. See? Boy, howdy, everybody.
No, let's
I'm a little late.
Can you try that again?
That's all right.
November 8th, 2023.
Oh,
That's what you meant to say.
I got the year right, guys. Let's just say
we're all having problems tonight.
Had a little bit of technical problem, so we got it sorted out, though.
Oh, my God.
That just made my day.
Woo! We got the number right, at least. It is episode 559, and thank you so much for tuning in. Let's go ahead, because we're here. Let's say hi to our wonderful host, starting out at the top of the pyramid. Gordo, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, I am doing fine. And now that we're on standard time, that means the daylight time, 60 minutes minus 45 minutes, we're right on schedule for whatever time.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, this is a record for me, 11 minutes late. I don't know that I have any of my live streams that late. But Don, how are you doing?
I don't know. What have you heard?
Oh, you also had a bit of fun trying to get your...
Right. I got Dr. Scove's video like at 15 minutes till, and I'm editing, and I go to Skype requires a restart, so I restart Skype, and it has an update. So I'm updating Skype while I'm rendering video, and Skype wants to restart my computer. And of course, I can't restart my computer until I upload the video that I'm rendering. So yes, we're all a little fragile, but nonetheless, we will have a Dr. T, and there's a lot going on with the sun. So we'll hear all. I don't even know what she said because I didn't even watch it yet. I just threw it together, but we'll all watch it together. And we'll be all better for it, Josh.
Indeed. And lastly, Amanda is back with us again. Amanda, did you have a birthday? Did I miss your birthday?
No, my mom's birthday is today.
Okay.
So,
happy birthday, Mom!
Happy birthday, Mom!
Facebook,
Happy birthday!
71. I bought her flowers on the way to work. So she's a rock. She's just.
Wait, she's only 8 years older than me?
I guess so.
Oh God.
Anyhow, she's working so hard taking care of my dad and everything, and God bless her. I just enjoy it. I'm one of the lucky ones that gets to see my mom almost every day of the week, so I will never take that for granted, ever. Well, what's going on this week? Boy, first of all, we're going to be celebrating Veterans Day tonight, so yes. Stay tuned. A lot of you sent in photos. Others, I went onto Facebook and stole some of your photos and might have put your information in there. So we're going to do a slideshow at the end of the show tonight. Also, we're going to have a great interview video with Cliff Kayhart, who Bob interviewed. Unfortunately, Cliff died at the ripe old age of 109 on October 14th, 2020. And what he's going to tell you about and what he did in World War II is just nothing more than amazing. So stay tuned for that. Also, Josh and I will be watching for your questions. So it's going to be a great show. And thanks, everyone, for your patience tonight and our technical difficulties. We're ham, so we know how to fix some stuff around here. So otherwise, we wouldn't have a show at all. All right. So with that, why don't we send it over to Gordo, who is also a vet. He might be featured in our photos tonight. But how you doing, Gordo?
Oh, my gosh. You've got a camera that goes all the way back to my early days of E5, U.S. Army. All right. Well, let's jump right in to see what's going on out there in the radio world of ham radio. So we'll give the little prompt there, and here we go. Pacificon, it was a success. A couple of weeks ago, the Pacificon volunteers, and there were a ton of them. Mount Diablo Amateur Radio Club and so many other volunteers really made it happen. And everybody was asking, hey, how's Josh doing? And we said, he's just out of control as usual. So, Josh, you have a whole fan club. Amanda, you too. And Don. Hey, Don. Yeah. There we go. They all asked about Don, and I said Don is Don. So we have a lot of folks out there listening, and all the kids in the background. Let me tell you, the Mount Diablo and the Pacificon crew really had a show for kids. Plus, it was the JOTA weekend. Plus, the kids had a chance to talk to those that jump out of an airplane, luckily with a parachute, but do 2 meters on the way down. So it was good. Well, let's talk about high frequency. And a lot of folks, we understand, lately get their license, they get up to general class, and then they're thinking about extra class. And we go, wait a minute, you're not even on the air as a general class. Well, I do a lot of driving. Well, ham sticks, as they were originally called, are quarter wavelength antennas that are very efficient. They do not require a huge mount, and they can put you on 10 meters, 12, 15, 17, 20 meters, 40 meters, and give you a little slice, well, make that a sliver of the 75 or 80 meter band. So for those of you that are brand new techs, there is no reason you can't get on 10 meters for digital, beginning at 28.0, as well as voice 28.3 up to 28.5 for technician class operators. And as you're going to hear tonight, from Dawn and our super solar weather gal, it is amazing the propagation we've had on 10 meters. Well, the little ham sticks are like $22. They come from all of the major ham radio dealers as well as MFJ. They are a coil of wire, center loaded. That's the key to the success of the ham sticks. Again, one per band, and we peeled away the black sheathing so you can take a look and see the coil windings. And we want the windings as large as possible, or else we're going to have some I²R losses or resistance of the coil. Well, on 10, 12, 15, 17, and 20 meters, no problem. Very, very little resistance. Well, when you get down to 40 meters, take a look at that. That's a lot of winding. So 40 meters, you're going to have less performance on your high-frequency fiberglass ham stick than you would with something slightly larger. But let me tell you, even if you go for something slightly larger with a larger coil in the center of the antenna, you're still going to have a good signal on ham sticks. And up at Pacificon, we met many, many hams that had great signals down here from San Francisco to this location in Southern California. And they said, yeah, I'm just running a ham stick and I do great. I don't need to get a big coil antenna because I'm not on 75 meters. On 40 meters, yeah, they'll be down just a little bit. Up on 75 meters, you want to get to about a 3 or 4 inch coil, and that's the contactor on the center of the coil that moves up and down for resonance. And some are motor driven, some are manual, and they do a terrific job. But the key is get that coil above the edge of your roof, get it of a vehicle, using the vehicle as a ground plane, and get that capacity hat, which really takes away, minimizes some of the turns, up as high as possible away from the coil. And up at the tip top is a stainless steel whip, and you get it going. The deal is, if we try and base load a high-frequency antenna, the very base of that antenna has maximum current. The voltage is maximum at the tip of the antenna, but this is where the current is. And if you try and base load a high-frequency antenna, yeah, you'll get a signal out. Yep, the radio says, okay, it's sort of 1-to-1 almost, but you won't get a lot of signal, and that base gets roasty toasty. That means you're losing the 100 watts. The deal is get it up as high as possible. Now, can you make a dual band or a triple band like for 10 meters, 15 meters, and 20 meters? Yeah, you can wind your own coils, and you know that you have been one of the greatest hams around when everybody comes up to your car going, what the hell is that? You drive around with that on your car? And you go, yeah. So keep the spirit up. Now, of course, Hustler has a little more refined look, but quite frankly, if it was an antenna shootout, I bet the homebrew slightly larger coils win out on the 40 meter band. But on 10, 15, and 20, not much difference between the big coil and so on. Diamond down in San Diego RF parts, they had a neat antenna, and I think they still have it, center loaded. And one of the nice things about the single band antenna is it will lay down so you can get that vehicle into the garage. And that makes it a nice antenna. It's not an automatic lay down. If you forget to lay down that antenna, then you're probably going to want to get a new trunk lid for your vehicle. But it's a goodie. Now, next time you're at a swap meet and you see an Outbacker antenna, an original Outbacker, there's a lot of ones that look like them these days, but nothing that really performs like the Australian Outbacker. Thanks to Don Arnold, W6 GPS, that put together the Outbacker from down under to being sold out here. This antenna kicks rear. Not much more than a single band, but it's multi-band. And the best part for those of us that travel, we can break it down into 3 pieces, put it into our, not the carry-on bag, but a regular big suitcase, and carry on at a distant location thanks to the Outbacker. And one of our hams, who's in a restricted HOA area, has the Outbacker on a big magnet antenna, smack dab horizontal on his railing. And I go, yeah, I don't know if that's going to perform. It performs very well. Not quite as good as if you had it up on a real mount high on your facility, but not bad just coming off the rail. And he's working stations all over the country. In a few more weeks, we're going to talk about resonating the automatic antennas. Automatic meaning that you tune them, and some will see the SWR dip and stop where they are, and they are at resonance, and we're going to check that out. And we've got our latest test meter there. And as we go further on antennas, we encourage you to be listening to some of these big signals. Here was an extra class operator that operates down by the ocean. And what he does is he takes this monster antenna, and you look at the coils and you go, oh my God. But when you hear his signal on the air, it indeed kicks butt. So I love it when hams will homebrew their own setup. And this gentleman can be heard regularly on 75 as well as 160. And guess what? He uses the guardrail as the ground plane as well as the seawater. And he's got a monster signal here on the West Coast out to Asia as well as to Europe. And that's the Gordo and Susie Com van. And notice we have just a small antenna, and that's played off of the rear door. And that's the high Q antenna. High Q is no longer, from what I've been told, making the antennas. Occasionally you can get a part for one, but if you spot a high Q, double check that the coil is moving freely, and if it is, that's a good deal. So I sure encourage all of you to be thinking about an antenna for going high frequency. It doesn't take much to get on high frequency with your good antenna system. And MFJ and all of the ham dealers have different styles, but the ham sticks with a stainless steel, about a yard long stainless steel whip, and then the winding of the coil, and then it screws right into another lower section that connects to a 3H24 stud. So we sure hope to hear you on high frequency on the air soon. So Amanda, I'll go back to you if we have any questions. Gordo, WB6NOA.
Well, we do have a couple questions or comments. The first one came from it was a question about Pacificon. It says, question for Gordo, did he catch the POTA presentation?
Yes, I did. And it was a great one, and that room was packed.
I could imagine. And so POTA would be for soda and POTA. So people were intermixing the conversation. Is that what happened?
They were, and we did catch a portion of it, and it was one of the highlights. And again, it was most important for new hams to see that there's so many facets of getting on high frequency. And it doesn't mean that you have to tie into your computer for FT8,
Yeah.
but there's all sorts of great opportunities to operate portable and get a little exercise as you set up at your special spot.
I think that's important too. Josh might have done a video about some of those equipments that you should be taking with you. Josh, you have the new Ella Craft
Boy,
in hand.
I like checks in the mail, Amanda. I'm dropping a getting started on Parks on the Air video tomorrow that only the patrons and YouTube members have seen, but it's going to go tomorrow public. It's about 20 minutes long, and it's in part because we got another really cool asset. ARRL produced a book called The Parks on the Air book, as you see here. And it goes into some detail on not just how to get started, but what my favorite thing is. And you know what? I'll just show you. We got we're already running late. Let's take a little take a little minute here. So there's all these really cool pictures of people and their setup.
Oh, slick.
And that's probably the best part about this is it gives you a real world look at what everybody takes out into the field. And they go through a really good amount of detail explaining how people set up. And you know what? You'd be real surprised, or maybe not, because we're all hams. Everybody has a unique way of kind of doing their own activation, their own gear that they use and all that stuff. And I found it just wonderful. So I didn't do it on this video, but the video I'm dropping tomorrow, there'll be a link to get a free shipping. There's a coupon for free shipping if you use my coupon code. I'm not affiliated with the ARRL, but they thought it would be fun to do that. And I'll update the link as well, try and get that into this show. So we got that. But yeah, absolutely love Parks on the Air. All the SPOTAs. I love all the OTAs pretty much. You give me an OTA. I haven't found an OTA I don't like, but yeah. Well, no, thank you, man.
That's awesome. And it's a really nice publication, it looks like. I do not have one in my hands, but it looks like it's full of information and ideas for your next one or ways to do things differently. So we're always looking for most efficient. If it's like a camping trip, it could be very hectic. If it's like a POTA, will actually be fun.
You can make it as hectic as you want.
I gotta tell you something. Gordo mentioned the Outbacker antenna. That's a great antenna. Whether you have it mounted, if you can find one of the original Outbackers. I had the Perth Plus. I had it on my pickup truck. You throw that on a tripod, and you've got a great all-band antenna for camping, for POTA, for all that stuff. I have on using an Icom 706 Mark II-G 100 watts into the Outbacker Perth Plus, which was the 40 through 6 meter version, the small one. I have a confirmed contact on 20 meters, 100 watts to McMurdo Station, Antarctica on that antenna.
Oh, McMurdo.
I really like my Comet screwdriver, but I've only used it a few times. Sometimes that SWR is a little bit finicky, and I've got to work that out. But
I lost that antenna in Katrina, and I hate it.
Oh,
hated that I lost it.
I learned tonight that it comes in pieces. I didn't realize that it breaks down into pieces. That's I had
the big ones do. Yeah.
I had a shot at one last Orlando, and I didn't buy it because I didn't think I could get it home. Now I'm kicking myself that I didn't buy it. Now I got to keep an eye open for it.
Well, someone needs to sponsor Don and send him a new one.
Yeah, the Perth Plus was great.
Yeah,
and you could put a longer whip on it, and you could go 10 through 80. But with the shorter whip, you could go 40 through 6. So nice. It's a great antenna.
Gordo, one more comment. Okicon here in the chat room just got their license, KG5 LTN, and every time they upgraded, they sent off to you to get a new certificate. So congratulations, Oki, and I think that's how you pronounce it. If I'm saying it wrong, I apologize, but they wanted to let you know that. So thank you, Gordo. Appreciate that. Thank you for your service, by the way.
When we get brand new licensees in the back of my book, and we're going to have some big announcements about my books shortly.
Great.
The offer is there, free of charge. I'm happy to make out a real nice certificate and put in some Icom band charts and Kenwood charts and Yaesu info. All of the major manufacturers. We'll get some from Illycraft shortly, and we're always happy to send those out free of charge to those that pass the test.
Awesome. Gordo's so good.
Yep.
Thank you, Gordo. Let's see. Now But with that, we're going to go to a wonderful video that Bob Heil did with Cliff Kayhart. Whiskey for Kilo Kilo Papa, who's no longer with us, but did a great service for World War II. And you're going to enjoy loving this story as much as we all have. If you've seen it before, you don't mind seeing it again. So,
Great
Josh,
package.
Yep.
It's a
it
great
is.
story,
Queuing
yeah.
it
Roll
up
it.
now. Queuing it up. Where is it? There it is. We got it.
Well, we're in South Carolina today, and I met a wonderful man, W4KKP, Cliff. Cliff, it's my honor to be with you.
My honor to be with you, too.
And what was your birthday? What was the last birthday? How many?
October 14th, I was 106, and I'll be 107 this coming October.
Wow. And you're still active on ham radio.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Look at all the cars. We'll have to show some of these a little bit. Well, I'm so honored to be here. And one of the things I want to ask you, if you would like to talk about it at all, is you did a thing with a special antenna during the war, right?
Oh, yeah, that was rhombic antennas, very directional.
Yeah.
They are the triangular type things.
Uh-huh. You used this on Ewa, right?
That's right. And the three antennas, one was headed for the Pentagon directly. The other one of the others was San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And the third one was China.
Uh-huh.
We were fighting with the Chinese at that time.
Right.
And then the communists came in, and we got out of there along with the Conchai.
Wow.
Conchai. Yeah, how do you pronounce it?
Saigon?
Saigon?
John Kai-shek.
John, oh, there you go. Yes.
And he created a new country.
Mm-hmm. But you were able to communicate with Washington when everything was.
Oh yeah. The signals were good.
Yeah.
Even though the sunspot cycles were getting to be pretty bad. Not too bad at that time, but they were sinking rapidly. Worked fine.
What I find interesting is they called upon an amateur radio operator to do that.
Oh yeah, it's very interesting how I got that job. I don't know how much time you have, but since I was about 9 years old, I fell in love with radio. Some friends of mine put earphones on me. They weren't as good as these earphones. And I heard radio for the first time. And the Bell Laboratories, 10 miles from my home, they kept the transmitter going all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they had some of the guests from my hometown, opera singers and so on there. So I used that, but then I began to build radios. I was not a ham yet. I didn't know anything about ham radio.
Right.
But I laid on my belly, just a kid, and I studied every little bit I could find about radio.
And what year would that have been?
Oh my, let's see now, let me get this straight. There's so many things happened. That would be about 1920 when I got involved in building radios.
Yeah.
And I would be 9 years old then.
Oh.
So I built a lot of radios, all tuned RF. I had a gain capacitor in each one.
Mm-hmm.
And I put a little regeneration in them, and I could listen to the West Coast with these radios. I built one for my dad, one for an uncle of mine, and one for an aunt. And anybody else wanted a radio, I'd build them for, because nobody could build them and sell them commercially. All the patents.
Oh,
So the government finally got smart. And they called in people like Stromberg, Carlson, Western Electric, Westinghouse, all the people that owned some of the patents that were to use in radio. And they created RCA, Radio Corporation of America. They became the holders of all the patents, all these guys. And if you wanted to build a radio and go into manufacturing them for sale, you would pay RCA. a small royalty.
Wow.
Isn't that just the sweetest interview? And he really did spend 2 days with him, and he actually got to meet one of Cliff's daughters. They went out to lunch together, and I talked to Bob about this last night, and he said this was life-changing for me to spend this time with him. I felt like I had done nothing in my whole life when I talked to this man. So, Cliff, I know you're no longer with us, but thank you for your service. And as some of the people said in the chat room, I hope that all of his descendants get to see this and get to learn about what he did for our country and for other countries. So we appreciate it. And ham radio is so many things, and this is amazing. That's all I had to say. All right.
Well, he may not be with us in the physical plane.
Yeah.
But his spirit lives on, and his energy lives on. He's just kind of taken his light to another room.
That's right. Thank you, Don. Okay, I think we're ready for some words from Icom.
Keep your competitive contesting edge with Icom. Icom's high-power base stations cut through pileups, letting you work the bands and record those contacts. Contest from the comfort of your home or remotely with the RSBA One app. Heard it, worked it, logged it. The IC7851 gives you a new window into the RF world and is HF excellence unparalleled. With faster processors, higher input gain, higher display resolution, and a cleaner signal, it's truly the pinnacle of HF perfection. Dual receivers, digital IF filters, memory keyer, digital voice recorder, high-resolution spectrum waterfall display, enhanced PC connectivity, and SD memory card slot. The IC7610 is the SDR every ham wants. This high-performance SDR can pick out faint signals in the presence of stronger adjacent signals. The Icom IC7610 is a direct sampling, software-defined radio that has changed the world's definition of an SDR. RF Direct Sampling System, 110 dB RMDR, independent dual receivers, and dual digicell. Icom's IC7300 is a high-performance, innovative HF transceiver with a compact design that will far exceed your expectations. This innovative HF transceiver digitizes RF before various receiver stages, reducing the generated inherent noise in different IF stages. This is a radio that changed the way entry-level HF is designed. RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and SD memory card slot. The real HF fun starts here. For more information about Icom's amateur offerings, visit icomamerica.com/lineup/amateur.
Thank you very much, Icom, for sponsoring Ham Nation here on the Ham Radio Crash Course. Every month, we give away a radio, but to get in on that giveaway, you must win a swag pack, and we give away 3 swag packs every time we are live here on Ham Nation. That little Enter Now button that you see, if you go to the link for Icom America that's in the description of this video, it'll take you to this website where you can enter, provide some nominal details like your email and your call sign so that you can get in on the swag pack giveaway. So entered into this month's radio giveaway is Sean G, AA4AT, Chuck K, K0XM, and Del L, N5KTX. And this month's giveaway for November is going to be a 5100, which is what I'm rocking in my truck right now. So a great radio for having lots of fun out in D-Star or whatever you do on VHF and UHF. Now, I will mention, since Gordo mentioned Pacificon, I happen to be on the air for Jamborees on the Air down here in Southern California. And the station that I made the most contacts to, put scouts to scouts over the air, was Pacificon radio station. I had 20 to 30 scouts that I had go through making contacts with other scouts in Pacificon. It was great. Were you going to say something, Gordo?
Yeah, they were so excited. They go, "Oh my gosh, that's YouTube Josh!" The scouts were like jumping up and down. So you were a hit.
It was great fun, and I tell you, man, we had. I think all said and done, I had probably 40 scouts that I got through on the radio, talking to mostly scouts. We did a good enough job at that, but talking to other hams as well. So it was really, really cool. Yeah, so Jamboree on the Air. Make sure you get involved next year, and we'll be definitely doing some future videos on that and talking about it. And if you are a scout and you want to get your merit badge, your ham radio merit badge, I got 2 videos explaining how to do it, so go check those out.
Nice.
All right.
Terrific.
Don, you take it away, buddy. We want to hear the latest news.
Well, why don't we go ahead and get into that? We've also got a report from Dr. Tamitha Skov, and there's been some rather outrageous things going on with the sun, and we're going to hear all about that. And she's got, if you don't follow her on Twitter, you really should, at Tamitha Skov. I'll go ahead and put a plug in for this now before we even get into it. I was just looking at her Twitter feed, and it is full of Aurora. Look at that. That is Dr. T's Twitter feed, and it just goes on and on and on. There was a ton of Aurora, even down into pretty deep into the mid-latitudes. So let's see if I don't even know what she's talking about because I just literally got the video. But of course, you can follow her Twitter feed, X, whatever you want to call it. I'm old school. I'm old. It's still Twitter to me. And of course, spaceweatherwoman.com. We'll hear all about that from Dr. T. But first, here's the news of the week from Amateur Radio Newsline.
From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2401, this is Ham Nation Headlines for Wednesday, November 8th, 2023. Our top story this week comes from northern India, where amateur radio has been declared a top priority by the government of one state. Officials there plan to heavily subsidize amateur radio stations to ensure they thrive and become a valuable resource.
Officials in the northern Indian state of Himachal Pradesh plan to subsidize as much as 80% of the cost of amateur radio equipment for licensed hams, recognizing amateur radio as a life-saving means of alternative communication during disasters. The announcement by the Himalayan state's chief minister, Sukhvinder Singh Sukhu, was made in the aftermath of a season of deadly landslides and devastating rainstorms. The Prime Minister made the commitment on Monday, October 30th, calling amateur radio, quote, a lifeline when wirelines, cell phones and other conventional means of communication fail, end quote. He outlined a strategy in which at least one amateur radio volunteer would be available for emergency response in each of the state subdivisions. Each of the volunteers would maintain radio contact with state and district emergency operation centres. New ham radio clubs will also be established at schools and other educational institutions and can expect to receive government subsidies as well for promoting the training of new amateurs. This is John Williams, VK4JJW.
Late October hurricane activity left responders in the U.S. surprised, especially because these storms were in the Pacific.
A nightmare began for nearly 1 million Mexican citizens and tourists in and around Acapulco when Hurricane Otis suddenly built to a Category 5 hurricane and hit with devastating force on October 25th, leaving at least 46 dead. This storm took many forecasters and emergency personnel by surprise. Bobby Graves, KA5HAV, manager of the Hurricane WatchNet, told AR Newsline that while activating for Norma in the eastern Pacific, the net was twice as busy, as they were also tracking Tropical Storm Tammy in the Atlantic. Graves mentioned that Pacific hurricanes were rare for the West Coast, as most storms travel east to west. While the practices and procedures are the same, the hardest part of Eastern Pacific activations is the shortage of active operators. He is hoping that the recent hurricane activity with Norma and Otis in Mexico may encourage more hams to check in during weather activations. For more information on the Hurricane WatchNet, go to hwn.org. This is Randy Sly, W4XJ.
In New Jersey, an amateur radio operator helped arrange for assistance when nothing else, not even mobile phone service, could get through.
David LaMonica, KD2GIY, was driving in southern New Jersey looking forward to a day of parks on the air when he caught sight of a car that had run off the rain-soaked road. Its front end had been smashed. He could see that the driver's airbag had deployed, and he was concerned that the motorist, an older woman, might be in distress. David told Newsline that this part of the state had no cell service, so calling for help via mobile phone was not an option. That's where the 2-meter radio inside his pickup truck came in handy. He'd programmed it to hit one of the local repeaters in the area where he was visiting, and he also had APRS running in the background. His call was answered by a ham who happened to be a police officer. The officer wasn't in his police car at the time, but relayed the call for help and could pinpoint the accident site by looking at APRS beacon online. An ambulance soon arrived. Dave believes that such experiences need to be shared and told Newsline, "Videos have always taught me." So the lesson here is in his recorded account of how he made that call for help, and he shares it on YouTube to inspire others to do the same. It can be found on his channel, KD2GIY Ham Radio Fun. Dave told Newsline it's great to have fun on the air, and that day he enjoyed a 6-park POTA rove. But the most important contact he logged that day was made on that 2-meter repeater. This is Jim Dameron, N8TNW.
And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news since 1976 at arnewsline.org. With John Williams, VK4JJW, Randy Sly, W4XJ, Jim Dameron, N8TMW, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe, I'm Don Wellbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. Now here's the solar update from Dr. Tamitha Skov, WX6SWW.
We're coming down from a big solar storm that gave us aurora in places like China, Greece, Texas, and Perth, Australia. And a new flare player emerges on the Earth-facing disk that might bring up activity once again. Those stories and more in the Spotlight this week. Space weather this week is definitely calming down from that massive solar storm that we had just the other day that brought aurora clear down to low latitudes like China and Greece and Perth, Australia and Texas and California. There were so many different places. Now as we take a look at our Earth-facing disk, the main culprit for some extra aurora that we've been dealing with is this coronal hole right here. This coronal hole is sending us some fast solar wind. It's kind of like a fast wind chaser. Now it's not enough to bring aurora down to mid-latitudes anymore, so the shows are going to remain up at mid-latitudes, or up at high latitudes, but it's going to remain around for the next day or two before things totally calm down. Now, as we continue taking a look at the rest part of the disk, this region 3483, look at this thing. Look how fast it's growing. This region right here has now become a big flare player, and even though right now the risk for radio blackouts at the R1 to R2 level is staying pretty low, we're definitely watching it because it's growing so quickly, and that may boost the activity. It's rotating right through the Earth strike zone right now, along with region 3484, which is a region that's also just beginning to kind of peek through. And so we're going to be watching these over the next couple days to see what they're going to do, and it could mean big solar storms might be on the menu once again. Now, switching to our solar storm conditions and aurora possibilities over the coming week, we are dealing with the fast solar wind from that coronal hole that you saw on the Earth-facing disk, and it's going to give us high latitudes. We're going to have active conditions over the next couple days with about a 20% chance of a major storm, and that's going to, settle down a bit as we move into the 11th and 12th through the weekend and into next week. We should be back to reasonably calm conditions, even at high latitudes, unless, of course, that new region ends up sending us a solar storm or two. We'll just have to wait and see when it comes to that. Now at mid-latitudes, well, we are still dealing with some fast solar wind. We only have about a 15% chance of minor storm conditions, and that's only going to last about through the 9th before things really settle down, and that will bring us to unsettled conditions throughout the rest of the week and into next week, unless, of course, we have a new solar storm launch. But otherwise, you're going to be able to deal with just kind of looking over your aurora photos and enjoying. Now, switching to our solar flare and dayside radio blackout over the coming week, we are sitting at about the mid-140s for solar flux. Now, that number may rise with this new active region in Earth view. We're not exactly sure when, how high that solar flux will get, but we do have a couple regions on the far side of the sun that could also cause some solar flux to boost for us, and that will happen probably Sunday into Monday. Meanwhile, we're only sitting at about a 10% chance of the R1 to R2 level radio blackouts. These are M-class flares, and that will be over the next day or so. Again, that risk may rise considerably depending upon how these new regions act over the next few days. But we should be remaining pretty much clear of R3 level radio blackouts. So amateur radio operators and emergency responders, well, you shouldn't have too much trouble on the bands over the next couple days and possibly in through this week, but you never know, so stay vigilant. Now, switching to our radiation storm and polar aviation outlook over the coming week, everything continues to be in the green. We are at the D1 normal range. This is for you aviators at flight level 360, and that does also means that we're in the S0 range for everyone else. Means that we are definitely staying quiet. We don't have any risk for big radiation storms, even from those new regions that are beginning to become active. So you frequent flyers, and this means aircrew and high-risk passengers, we're sitting at about a 1% risk for radiation storms. That may rise as we get closer to the end of the week, but I doubt it. I think everything will stay in the green, and so you're all in the clear. So the space weather this week is actually pretty good. We're calming down quite a bit from that massive solar storm that we had just the other day, and now we're just dealing with some fast solar wind from that coronal hole that's continuing to rotate through the Earth strike zone. Doesn't look like we have much in the way of future storms at the moment, but you'll never know, especially if that region 3483 ends up being a big especially if that region 3483 ends up becoming a solar storm producer. But we'll just have to keep our eyes on it and hope that, maybe things will be quiet for a while. I'm Tamitha Skov, the Space Weather Woman. Thank you for watching.
So there you go. That's the latest from Newsline. And of course, Dr. Tamitha Skov, you got to check her out on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. That's what her account looks like right there on her page on Twitter. She and Gordon West, two of the best I've ever known at taking a really technical subject and distilling it down to where anybody can understand it.
It's true, though.
And that is a rare talent.
Well, to illustrate what she was talking about for Auroras, can you imagine on 2 meters, not on HF, but 2 meters, aiming your antenna at an Aurora and making contact with a station hundreds of miles away off the reflection? But this is done on CW, and this is the weirdest signal that you've ever heard, with a CW signal without a tone, just this. So who says CW is not relevant today?
Exactly.
Aurora a few days ago from
amazing.
What she was talking about.
That's amazing. We are so lucky to have both of you here with us tonight and every week, as a matter of fact.
Absolutely.
And yeah.
And so Josh is going to show us some of those photos from Dr. T's feed.
The Aurora is amazing. Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So people were seeing it all the way. Don, you're from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Have you ever saw an Aurora Borealis?
I knew a woman named Aurora. That was about as much as I.
We're not talking about your strip club days. Okay.
No.
I'm telling you right now, this guy.
Oh, wow.
Some of these are from Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia. I mean, and then there was a rocket launch. Yeah.
Oh, shit. Holy shit, there it is.
No.
I didn't hear it, but yeah, that's amazing. That's cool. Oh, that's right. I'm not hearing the feed. Yeah, that's amazing. Oh, that's amazing.
Wow.
I just can't imagine how some of these people felt going outside to take their dog out or whatever, and they're like, "Honey,
the sky.
I'm looking at right now."
Look at that. That's gorgeous. Oh my Lord.
Over an old farm homestead. I mean, it's just amazing. We see a lot of these out of Norway, Sweden, Finland, Alaska, but to see them here in the States, in New England, wait, that can't possibly be Florida. Hopefully they just have a flamingo. Okay.
I don't think so.
I don't know how far down it got, but this is just something, a once in a lifetime, typically.
Oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
It is amazing.
Gorgeous.
Look
It's
at how
gorgeous.
beautiful it is.
Gorgeous.
So thank you, Josh, for sharing that. And Dr.
Just-
T, she probably was up for 48 hours. I don't think the girl sleeps.
I don't think she doesn't sleep. No, she doesn't.
She just
She lives on
constantly
coffee and
like
adrenaline. Yeah.
retweets all of these photos that are getting
Right.
sent to her, and she is fascinated by every single one of them.
Yeah.
Like everyone is different from the next one, and she's amazed. So
She really is.
follow her on X,
Yes.
Twitter, aka whatever.
SpaceWeatherWoman.com. She's on YouTube as well. Tamethoscope. Yeah.
Thank you, Donnie Boy, for it's your miracle that you brought her to us. So
It's serendipity. I was doing a story on the sun and happened to see her, and I reached out and I said, "Can I share some of your video with what we're doing?" She's like, absolutely. And so that was kind of the beginning of it. Yeah. So.
And then you shocked and awed her, and then here she is forever.
Well, I don't know. It was serendipity and luck, and I'm just happy to
I
be
won't
part of
ask her that question.
it. I'm happy to be part of it.
All right. Well, stay tuned. I think there's going to be more activity for the sun. So thanks, Don. Thanks for your report. We appreciate it. Now, next, I'm going to advertise some vets that we have here, viewers, friends of mine on Facebook. And we're just going to kind of quickly scroll through these. Some you'll notice here that you see on chat every week. Others are just friends of mine. But in 9EDK, he's not a lifetime viewer, but he's definitely a viewer. He works for Lockheed Martin, by the way. Marcus Johnson, I don't know you at all, but thank you for your service, sir. Navy, there was a great group. It wasn't like all was Air Force or Navy or anything. Josh, in 8GB, he sent me his photo. John, excuse me, the type's really small. I should probably have my glasses on. No, okay. All right, let's go on. Oh, Veterans Day makes you emotional, James. So thanks. This is our net control KC7 FPF. He has 2 photos, by the way. Yeah, he had one there in action. Look at the boys hanging out there on the plane. I mean, that's so cute. Chuck Gibson, KG5 DIR. He actually was a Marine and National Guard. So
very nice.
Doing both. And I've done some QSL cards like that where people were dual services. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Tom Ritter, WY7KY. He's always in their chat room. Thank you, Tom, for your service. Barry, K1BJF. I've never interacted with this guy, but he sent me a photo, so thank you, Barry. Vince, yeah, I've been friends with him on Facebook for years and years and years. Thanks for your Air Force service there. Greg Walters, another that sent me his picture. Marine Corps. That's our first Marine, I believe, for tonight. Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Jerry Ryan, K8VGL. Nice photo, by the way. This guy, he runs a rafting company here in Canyon City, and I've known him for a long time. And he wasn't just Army, he was Special Forces. So he's like, yeah. Alfred is amazing. I don't know what branch he served in. I just see that he wears hats all the time that say Vietnam veteran, and I love to follow him on Facebook. So I had to give him a shout out. Thank you, Alfred, for your service. He also works in a hospital, and he worked really hard during COVID. So Daryl Bivens, I've worked him on a couple of nets, and I wanted to make sure I included him. Thank you, Daryl. Everyone knows Emmett.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't have a service picture on Facebook, so I just stole his photo. It's like, well, here you are in all your glory. There you go.
Emmett's one of those been there, done that kind of guys, too. That's another one who's brilliant as far as antenna
Who is
theory.
this guy, you guys? Dell?
Oh, Dale Puckett. Yep.
Coast Guard.
Yep.
And this is one of my good friends here in town. And he's a really amazing person because he takes the vets every year from the VFW and he flies with them to Washington, D.C. so that they can pay their respects at the Memorial of the Unknown and all of that stuff. And they get to tour
awesome.
Washington, D.C. and they do a fundraiser for it. So Bill Hartless, an amazing person. He's on our incident management team, our EOC team, search and rescue, wildland fire. He just does it all. So thank you, Bill. Who's this? Oh, Dennis. Yeah, he's a longtime viewer here of Ham Nation as well. He'd moved to Alaska, so he changed his call sign. But Dennis is Navy, him and his beautiful wife there. This guy into King of Jersey. We talk to him all the time on the repeaters here. He's from New Jersey, obviously, and he followed his dad's footsteps and went into the Navy. So, and he has 4 daughters. 4. I know. Dave Novotny, Mr. Civil Air Patrol here. He's a very big repeater guy here in Colorado. So thank you, Dave, for your service. We use a lot of Civil Air Patrol here. This is Ron Dishman. I do not know you personally. I know that we're friends on Facebook, but thank you for your service in the Air Force. It looks like you were maybe possibly a pilot. Thomas Tiffany, U.S. Navy. I didn't see much more about you, but that's more important that you served. So thank you. This is a good friend of mine, Jeff Ryan, K0RM in the Air Force. I think it was in the 70s or 80s. Also a section manager and now a director for the ARRL. So yeah. Jack Chiacha, this guy. Isn't he handsome? Look at this lovely Italian.
Good looking.
Squadron. I know. Tell me about it. He was also a section manager here in Colorado. He's now back in New England in Rhode Island, but he sent me a couple photos. There's an action picture of him in a fighter. Look at that. He's in the back. Oh, nice. Yeah. It's so neat to see these pictures. It gets me every time. Who's this? Gordo?
Oh my gosh.
I did not find an Army ES5 photo, so I wish I would have had that, but I did include this one.
Yeah, they didn't go back to the Civil War at that time with a camera.
I couldn't find any. I just looked for Gordon West Coast Guard because I didn't know that you served in anything else. So I'm sorry that I missed that.
That's good. I'm glad you did.
I don't think they allowed sexy shorts though. So we would have been disappointed. Anyhow, thank you everybody that sent photos. It was really fun looking through Facebook, and thank you everyone for your service.
Wow. Thank you, Amanda, for showing that.
It's the least I could do, and I didn't get to catch a lot of those. Oh, worked Jack many times. Some others on here. Vietnam Veterans Wall when it was in Wickerburg. I don't know where that is, but thanks everyone. So with that, we've actually made it to the top of the hour. I wasn't sure we had enough content, but we did run a little late. So I am starting a thing. I'm going to do viewers mail at the end of every show. I do have one I wanted to talk about just because you guys started talking about Jamboree on the air. So this one was kind of related. It's called Thinking Day on the air, and it's for Girl Scouts. And it takes place February 17th. And this fine gentleman, N8AAE, says that he would like to find a way that he can help participate in that or find people like us that can help promote it. So sign me up. I'll even make some shirts or something and try to find a Girl Scouts troop that I can go visit and get them on the air. So yeah. I have talked to lots of girls on Joda. Me too. I want to get girls on the air, and I want them to feel comfortable about it and how it's not just a guy's world. So,
I was muted. I'll just repeat really quickly. Scouting BSA includes girls too. I was muted for that. Sorry about that. But yeah, we support everybody, and contact me if you wanna whatever the Girl Scout event is, I'm happy to help too.
Me too.
Yes.
Totally. And I can find many other females around the United States. Part of the YLRL club, I'm sure I can find some ladies willing to go out to their areas and help, if not get our brethren clubs out there to help as well. So, okay, I look forward to talking about that more. It doesn't happen until February, so I have time.
We got time.
Okay. let's talk about nets. Our wonderful serviceman, Air Force guy, KC7 FPF, he should be around 7192. W7 UDI, who also serves, but he's a wildland fighter, so he works his ass off twice as hard. He should be on 14280-ish or 14272, around there. 14 Charlie, we have the D-Star net. So don't forget to join in, have fun, and thank you to our net controls. All that said, our next show is going to be November 22nd. And I don't know what we're going to be showcasing yet, but I'm sure it was going to be great.
I do. And we're going to be in outer space.
Oh, that's right.
40th anniversary. And I'll let you folks look it up. But we've got some exciting audio to play 40 years ago when we went up to space.
And it's the day before Thanksgiving.
I currently have no complications with that. I have no problem being on the air with everybody here. So as long as you guys aren't busy, that shouldn't be any problem.
As long as my father is still here, I will be here.
I have the day off that day, so I'm good.
Okay. Mentions, I see a couple of things there around the Horn Sweepstakes is coming up. Obviously, we will not be talking to you before the ARRL Sweepstakes, but it's one of my favorite contests. I really enjoy the ARRL single side band. I love it.
It's such a hard exchange. It takes me a while.
It's that long.
It takes me about 20 minutes to get into the groove to do it right.
It's an incredible.
And people probably get frustrated.
It's an incredible challenge for me because I have not gotten a clean sweep where I'm located. Some people are going to tell me, Josh, you're making excuses. You could get a clean sweep if you wanted. But it's kind of hard to go from Southern California all the way up to like Maine and then some of the other, areas again.
It's totally hard to go to the V Oscars. They're pretty difficult, and there's only a couple of stations that operate. So.
Yeah, and so that's a little bit difficult for me, and I always end up with a couple of areas that I don't hit. And oddly enough, it's usually in the Northeast. But I'm waiting to get my mug. I want a mug, baby.
I do too. One of these days, lifelong ambition there. So the sweepstakes are fun, and if there's one contest that you're going to participate in, do that one because everyone's really kind. First of all, they'll walk you through the exchange. Just get it in the right order because they're trying to type it and they're doing it in a certain order. So, and I can't remember it for the life of me, but basically your name, your call sign, the year you were licensed, and
serial number or something.
Number. So
if you can get ARRL Sweepstakes and you can feel comfortable operating there, you can operate any contest.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Just remember, it's not a 5-9 in your state. Don't do that.
That's right.
Yeah, don't do that.
Okay, everybody. We'll see you before Thanksgiving. 73. Thanks for joining us tonight. We had a lot of fun.
73.
Good night.
That was fun.
It was. Thank you for collecting all those wonderful pictures of veterans, and thank you everybody for watching.
That was great, Amanda. Great.